Welcome to This is Thailand. I'm your host, and tonight we have a story that's going to stick with you. This one's about Dwight, a 61-year-old retired train driver from Oregon who came to Thailand looking for something he'd never had in his entire life. He thought he'd finally found it in a bar on Soi 6 and a village in Isan. He thought he was building a family, investing in a future, becoming part of something real. What happened next changed everything he thought he understood about love, belonging, and what it means to be a lonely man with money in the land of smiles. This is his story, in his own words. My name's Dwight, and I spent 37 years running freight routes along the Pacific coast. Portland to Sacramento, Sacramento to Eugene, back again. The same stretches of track, over and over, until I could navigate them in my sleep. Most people think being a train driver is romantic or something, like those old railway posters with steam engines crossing mountain passes. The reality is, you're alone in a cab for 10, 12, sometimes 14 hours at a time, watching the same scenery scroll past your window, talking to dispatch on the radio when you need to, otherwise just you and the rhythm of the rails. I never married, never even came close, if I'm being honest. There were a couple of women over the years, back when I was younger, but nothing that stuck. I was awkward around them, didn't know what to say, and after a while I just stopped trying. The job became everything. I had my routes, my schedules, my timetables, everything organized, predictable, on track. That was enough, or at least that's what I told myself. At 60, I went in for a routine physical. I'd been having some chest tightness, nothing major, just figured I was getting older and out of shape. My doctor was this no-nonsense guy named Patterson who'd been telling me to lose weight and exercise for years. This time was different. He came back into the exam room with an EKG printout, and his face was serious. He slapped the paper down on the desk between us and said, "Dwight, your heart's a ticking time bomb. Early retirement or early grave, your choice." I looked at that EKG, and it looked like a seismograph during an earthquake, all these irregular spikes and valleys. He explained it to me in terms I could understand, comparing it to signals on a railway line. My heart was sending the wrong signals, misfiring, working way too hard just to keep me alive. The stress of the job, the years of irregular sleep schedules, the loneliness, the fact that I hadn't taken care of myself, it had all caught up with me. He gave me 6 months to make a decision. Said if I kept running freight, I'd probably have a massive heart attack in that cab within a year or two. So I took early retirement. The railroad gave me a decent pension, nothing spectacular, but enough to live on. I had about $95,000 saved up over all those years. Not bad for a guy who never had anyone to spend it on. No wife, no kids, no expensive hobbies. Just me in a small house in Medford that I'd paid off years ago. The first month of retirement was the loneliest time of my life, and that's saying something. I'd wake up every morning with nowhere to go, nothing to do. The silence in that house was crushing. I tried keeping myself busy. I watched YouTube videos about trains, which just made me miss the work. I went for walks, but my neighborhood was mostly young families, and I felt like a ghost wandering through other people's lives. I'd sit on my porch in the evenings watching the sun go down over the mountains and think, this is it? This is what I worked 37 years for? An empty house and a broken heart, and doctor's orders to reduce my stress and find joy? The problem was, I didn't know how to find joy. I'd never learned. That's when I discovered Thailand, and I discovered it in the most random way possible. I was on a train forum, because of course I was, and someone posted photos of Bangkok's elevated train system, the BTS SkyTrain, beautiful modern trains running above the city on elevated tracks, clean stations, efficient schedules. I started clicking around, reading about Bangkok, and that led me to expat blogs and YouTube channels about living in Thailand. The cost of living caught my attention first. My pension would go 3 times further there. I could live like a king on what barely covered bills in Oregon. But that's not what really hooked me. What hooked me was a YouTube video I stumbled across late one night called Finding Love in Thailand After 60. The guy in that video looked just like me. Regular face, bit of a gut, nothing special. He was sitting at an outdoor restaurant in Pattaya with this beautiful Thai woman half his age. And she was smiling at him, touching his arm, calling him handsome man. He talked about being divorced, lonely, coming to Thailand on a whim, and meeting her at a bar. He said Thailand gave him a second chance at happiness. He said Thai women appreciate older Western men, that they value stability and kindness over looks and money. I watched that video 4 times. Then I watched 10 more videos just like it. All these ordinary guys who looked like they'd worked blue-collar jobs their whole lives, guys who probably never had much luck with women back home, and they all had these smiling Thai girlfriends calling them handsome, taking care of them, making them feel wanted. I started thinking, maybe this is what the doctor meant by finding joy. Maybe Thailand was my second chance. I had the money. I had the time. I had a heart condition that required less stress. And what could be less stressful than retiring to a tropical country where everything was cheap and women actually wanted to be with guys like me? I bought a one-way ticket to Bangkok 3 weeks later. Didn't tell anyone except my sister back in Portland, and even then I didn't explain it properly. Just said I was taking an extended vacation, trying out retirement somewhere warm. I sold nothing because there was nothing to sell except the house, and I figured I might need that to come back to if Thailand didn't work out. I took $45,000 in cash, left $50,000 in my bank account back home as a safety net. The flight was 14 hours. I barely slept. I kept thinking about that YouTube video, about that guy and his smiling girlfriend, about the possibility that maybe, at 60 years old, after a lifetime of being alone, I might actually find someone who wanted to be with me. I landed in Bangkok on a Tuesday morning in March. The heat hit me like a wall when I walked out of the airport. It was already close to 90 degrees and humid enough that my shirt stuck to my back within minutes. I took a taxi to the bus station and caught a bus straight to Pattaya because that's where all the YouTube videos were filmed. That's where guys like me went to find what they were looking for. I didn't know it yet, but that bus ride was the beginning of the biggest mistake of my life. And the thing is, I was so full of hope, so desperate to believe I could finally have something good, that I missed every single warning sign along the way. I thought I was finally getting on the right track after a lifetime of running in circles. Turns out I was heading straight for a collision, and I didn't see it coming until it was way too late to brake. Pattaya hit me like sensory overload. The bus dropped me at a station on the outskirts, and I grabbed a Sonthieu, one of those pickup trucks with benches in the back, into the main part of town. 20 baht, about 60 cents. Everything was cheap like the videos promised. I'd booked a place online before leaving Oregon, a studio condo near Jomtien Beach for 8,000 baht a month, about 250 bucks. The landlord was a Thai woman who barely spoke English, but she showed me how to work the air conditioning and handed me the key. The place was small, maybe 300 square feet, but it had a bed, a little kitchenette, a bathroom with a squat toilet I had no idea how to use, and a balcony overlooking a soi where motorbikes buzzed past constantly. The noise never stopped, never. The first 2 nights I mostly stayed in that condo with the aircon blasting, venturing out only for food. I was overwhelmed. The heat was oppressive. Even at night it didn't drop below 80 degrees. The humidity made my clothes stick to me within minutes of stepping outside. The smells were intense. A mix of street food, incense from spirit houses, exhaust fumes, and open sewers. Everything was louder than Oregon, brighter, more chaotic. Motorbikes everywhere. 3 or 4 people on a single bike sometimes. Tuk-tuks honking. Dogs wandering around. It was nothing like the YouTube videos made it seem. I ate at 7-Eleven mostly because it felt familiar and I could point at what I wanted. Chicken on a stick. Those little hot dogs. Thai iced tea that was so sweet it made my teeth hurt. I'd take it back to my condo and sit on the balcony watching the street below, wondering what the hell I was doing here. On the 3rd night, I forced myself to actually go out. I'd come to Thailand for a reason, and hiding in my condo wasn't going to accomplish anything. I walked toward Beach Road and found myself on Walking Street around 9 p.m. That's when Pattaya wakes up. The neon was blinding. Every bar had music blasting, girls in short dresses standing outside calling to men walking past. "Handsome man, welcome, come inside, have drink." I'd never seen anything like it. Back in Medford, the bars closed at 10 and they were just regular bars where people drank beer and watched sports. This was different. This was what the forums called the nightlife scene. Point 1 walked past bar after bar, overwhelmed, not knowing where to go or what to do. Girls would grab my arm, try to pull me inside. I'd mumble sorry and keep walking. I felt completely out of my depth. These women were young, beautiful, wearing next to nothing, and they were treating me like I was somebody worth their attention. It didn't compute. I ended up on Soi 6, which runs parallel to Walking Street but feels slightly less intense. Still plenty of bars, still plenty of girls, but the street is narrower, more intimate somehow. I walked slowly, looking at the different places. Most had names that were pretty obvious about what they were offering. Kiss Me Bar. Sexy Girls, Hotspot. Then I saw one called Sweet Dreams. The name seemed less aggressive, more inviting. I stood outside for a minute, gathering my courage. A girl appeared in the doorway. Not grabbing at me like the others had been doing, just standing there with a smile. "You come inside?" she said. "Just look, no problem." I went in. The bar was small, maybe 15 stools around a rectangular counter with the bartender in the middle, music playing but not ear-splitting. Half a dozen girls in tight dresses, a few older Western men scattered around drinking. The girl who'd invited me in gestured to an empty stool. I sat down. She sat next to me. "You want drink?" she asked. "Just a beer," I said. "Chang." She ordered for me, then asked if I wanted to buy her a lady drink. I'd read about this on the forums. Lady drinks cost more, maybe 150 baht instead of 60 for a regular beer, and the girl got a commission. That's how they made money. I said sure. "What your name?" she asked. "Dwight." "Dwight." she repeated, testing it out. I knock. She was 28, she told me, from a village in Isan up north. She'd been working in Pattaya for 3 years. Her English was pretty good, better than most of the other girls I could hear talking around the bar. She asked where I was from, what brought me to Thailand. I told her I'd just retired. Doctor said I needed less stress, thought I'd try living somewhere warm for a while. She touched my arm, gentle, and I'll never forget what she said. You safe now. Thailand, take care of you. Something about the way she said it, the gentleness in her voice, made me feel like maybe I'd made the right decision coming here. Like maybe this place could actually be what I'd hoped. We talked for maybe an hour. She asked about my work, seemed genuinely interested when I told her about running trains. She asked if I was married, why not, didn't I want family? I explained I'd just always been alone, focused on work, never really knew how to talk to women. She nodded like she understood. You good man, she said. I can see. Good heart. Other guys at the bar were getting handsy with their girls, clearly heading toward the short time rooms in the back. But Nock just sat next to me talking, laughing at my awkward attempts at humor. When I asked how much I owed for the bar fine, assuming that's what came next, she shook her head. I no go with customer tonight, she said. I just like talk you different. I paid my bill, about 300 baht for my beers and her lady drinks, maybe $9 total, and left. Walked back to my condo in a bit of a daze. She'd said I was different. She'd chosen to just talk to me instead of going with a customer. That meant something, didn't it? I came back the next night, Nock was there, smiled when she saw me, came over immediately like she'd been waiting. We talked again. She told me about her village, about her mother who was sick, about her dream of opening a small shop someday, maybe selling clothes or phone accessories. She asked about trains again, remembered details from the night before. You like old train? She asked. Old Southern Pacific? I'd mentioned that the previous night, about loving the old Southern Pacific locomotives, and she'd remembered. That detail stuck with me. Most people's eyes glazed over when I talked about trains. She'd actually listened. By the third night, I was going to Sweet Dreams like it was my regular spot. Nock would sit with me, we'd talk, I'd buy her lady drinks, and that was it. No pressure for anything else. Other girls would come over and try to get me to buy them drinks too, but Nock would wave them off, say I was her customer. The mama-san, this older Thai woman who ran the bar, started giving me looks like she wasn't sure what was happening. On the fourth night, Nock told me she'd told the mama-san she wasn't taking other customers anymore while I was there. I say I have boyfriend now, she said, smiling. You my boyfriend, okay? I didn't know what to say to that. Was she serious? Was this how it worked here? I looked around the bar at other guys groping their girls, clearly in transactional situations, and then at Nock sitting beside me like we were on an actual date. It felt different. It felt real. Okay, I said. By the end of the first week, I was going to Sweet Dreams every single night. I'd show up around 8, Nock would be there waiting, we'd sit and talk until past midnight. I learned about Isan, about rice farming, about how poor her village was, about her mother's health problems. She learned about Portland and Sacramento, and what it was like to spend your whole life on the rails. She'd rest her hand on my arm when she talked, lean in close to hear me over the music. When I left each night, she'd weigh me, that Thai gesture of respect with pressed palms, and tell me to sleep good. I knew what this was supposed to be. I'd read the forums. I'd watched the warning videos about Bargirls and scams and sick buffalo stories. But Nock seemed different. She wasn't pushing me for money. She wasn't rushing me to the short time rooms. She was just spending time with me, and it felt like she actually enjoyed my company. Looking back now, I can see how perfectly she played it. But at the time, after 60 years of being invisible to women, after a lifetime of loneliness, the idea that this beautiful young woman might actually like me for me was too intoxicating to question. I wanted to believe it so badly that I ignored every warning sign, every voice in my head saying this doesn't add up, every lesson the forums tried to teach. By week 2, I was completely hooked. Nock had stopped working entirely when I was there. She'd arrive at the bar just to see me, sit with me, leave when I left. She started teaching me Thai words, kalpad, fried rice, aroi, delicious, rak, love. I taught her more English. We'd laugh at each other's pronunciation, at the cultural misunderstandings, at how different our lives had been. One night, walking me back toward Beach Road where I'd catch a motorbike taxi to my condo, she stopped and looked at me seriously. You really good man, Dwight, she said. Not say Mother Farang. You have good heart. I lucky meet you. And I believed her. I wanted to believe her so badly that I pushed aside every rational thought, every warning, every bit of common sense I'd developed over 60 years of life. I thought I'd finally found what I'd been missing. I thought Thailand had given me the second chance those YouTube videos promised. I had no idea that the real story was just beginning. No idea that within 2 weeks I'd be making the first payment on a tab that would eventually cost me everything I'd worked for. All I knew was that for the first time in my life, someone seemed to want me. And that feeling was worth more than all the money I had. At least that's what I told myself. Week 3 started the same as the previous 2. I'd wake up in my condo around 10, eat breakfast at a little Thai place down the Swa that served Kyo Tom, rice soup with pork, for 30 baht. I'd spend the day wandering around Pattaya, getting used to the heat, the chaos, the complete foreignness of everything. Then around 7 I'd shower, put on a clean shirt, and head to Sweet Dreams. Nok was always there waiting. That should have been the first real warning sign now that I think about it. She was working at a bar, but she was always available exactly when I showed up. Never with another customer, never too busy. But I didn't question it. I was just grateful. "You okay?" I asked. She nodded but didn't look at me. Then after a minute she said, "Dwight, I need to talk to you about something." My heart did that flutter thing, the irregular rhythm the doctor had warned me about. I thought she was going to end whatever this was. Tell me it was fun, but she needed to get back to work, back to real customers who actually paid for more than just conversation. "I won't be with you," she said. "Real not just in bar. But I have problem." I waited. She twisted her hands in her lap, looked genuinely distressed. "When I come Pattaya from village 3 years ago, I borrow money for Mama-san, for my family. My mother's sick, need money for hospital. Mama-san give me 25,000 baht, say I can pay back from working, but I still owe. I cannot leave bar until I pay." I'd read about this on the forums. The contract system. Girls would come from Isan or other poor regions, the bar owner would loan them money, and they'd be essentially indentured until they paid it back through bar fines and commissions. Some guys on the forums said it was all a scam, that the girls never really owed anything. Others said it was real, but you should never pay it because then you were just enabling the system. "How much do you still owe?" I asked. "Same, 25,000 baht. Mama-san say I work slow, not go with many customer." She looked at me with those eyes. "Because I wait for you every night. I no want other man, only want be with you." 25,000 baht. I did the math quickly. About $800. That was nothing really. I had 95,000 sitting in accounts back home. 800 bucks to free her from this life, to actually be with her properly. It seemed like a bargain. But I hesitated. All those forum mornings were echoing in my head. This is how it starts. First the contract, then the sick mother, then the house, then the business, then you're broke and alone. Not must have seen my hesitation because she put her hand on mine. "It okay," she said. "I understand. I no want you think I use you. We just keep same like now. I happy just talk you." That's what broke me. The fact that she immediately backed off, said it was okay, that she was happy with what we had. She wasn't pushing. She wasn't demanding. She was giving me an out. "No," I said. "I want to help." The next morning I went to a Bangkok bank ATM and withdrew 25,000 baht in 1,000 baht notes. Bright purple bills with the king's face on them. I'd never held that much Thai currency before. It felt like a lot of money, but it also felt like nothing compared to what I had in savings. That night at Sweet Dreams, I handed Nok the envelope. She opened it, looked inside, and her eyes filled with tears. Real tears, or at least they looked real to me. She took my hand and brought it to her forehead in this gesture of deep respect, then stood up and called the Mama-san over. There was a rapid conversation in Thai. The Mama-san counted the money, nodded, said something to Nok that sounded official. Then she smiled at me, gold tooth glinting, and said in broken English, "You good man, take care my girl." Just like that, Nok was free. She went to the back room, came out 10 minutes later with a small bag of her belongings. She'd been living in a room above the bar with 2 other girls. Now she was leaving with me. We walked back to my condo and I remember thinking this was the craziest thing I'd ever done. I'd known this woman for 2 weeks, and now she was moving in with me. But it also felt right, in a way nothing had felt right in a very long time. Those first few weeks living together were probably the happiest I'd ever been. Nok would wake up early, go down to the market, come back with ingredients I didn't recognize. She'd cook on my little 2-burner electric stove. These amazing meals that cost maybe 100 baht total. Some tam, papaya salad so spicy it made my eyes water. Pad see ew, white noodles with chicken. Khao pad with pineapple and cashews. We'd eat on the balcony watching the street below. She'd teach me Thai. I'd teach her more English. We'd laugh at each other's pronunciation. She called me Tirak, which means darling. I'd never been anyone's darling before. At night, we'd watch Thai soap operas on the little TV, these overdramatic shows where everyone was crying or slapping each other. I didn't understand a word, but Nok would translate the important parts, get so invested in the characters' problems that she'd yell at the screen. She was affectionate in a way I'd never experienced, always touching my arm, holding my hand, leaning against me on the couch. We shared the bed, but it wasn't about sex, or at least not primarily. It was about not being alone, about having another person's warmth next to you, about mattering to someone. I started thinking maybe I really had found what those YouTube videos promised. Maybe Thailand really did give guys like me second chances. About 3 weeks into living together, Knox suggested we video call her mother. She set it up on her phone one evening. The connection was bad, the image pixelated, but I could see an old woman in what looked like a simple wooden house. She was thin, gray-haired, and when she spoke I could hear her coughing. Knock translated the conversation. Her mother was so happy Knock had found a good man. She was grateful for the money I'd sent to the hospital 3 years ago, money I hadn't sent because that had been the Mama San's loan, but I didn't correct her. She blessed me in Thai, said I was like a son now. The mother coughed again, long and rattling. Even through the bad connection, I could hear how sick she sounded. We did these calls a few times over the next week. Each time the mother looked a little worse, coughed a little more. I started to worry about her. Then one night, about a month into Knock living with me, I woke up to find her gone from the bed. It was 2 a.m. I heard her voice from the balcony, speaking rapid Thai, and she sounded upset. I got up, went to the doorway. She was on her phone, pacing, and when she saw me, she quickly said something and hung up. "Who was that?" I asked. She was crying, real crying this time, not the gentle tears from when I paid her contract. She was shaking, gasping for breath. "My sister," she said, "from village. My mother very sick. My mother very sick. Need operation." I felt my chest tighten. "What kind of operation?" "Lung," she said, touching her chest. "She coughed long time, you hear on video. Now doctor say she have problem, need operation or she die. But hospital want money first. 100,000 baht, we no have. My father try borrow from neighbor, but no one have money in village. 100,000 baht, about $3,200. I had it. It would leave me with about 91,000 in savings after the contract payment, but I had it." "The sick buffalo," I said. Knock looked confused. "What?" "Nothing. Just something I read on the forums." I sat down on the bed. This was exactly what all the warnings talked about. The sick mother, the emergency that requires money, the family crisis that only the Farang can solve. But I'd video called with her mother. I'd heard her coughing. This wasn't some made-up story. The woman was actually sick. Knock knelt in front of me, took my hands. "I no want ask you money," she said. "Already you help me too much. Pay my contract, give me place to stay. I no want you think I use you. But my mother, she die if no have operation. I no know what to do." I should have taken a day to think about it. Should have asked to see hospital documents, talked to the doctor, verified anything. But at 2 a.m. with no crying in front of me, with the image of that sick old woman coughing through the phone screen in my mind, I couldn't think straight. "I'll send the money in the morning," I said. Knock collapsed into my arms, sobbing. She kept saying, "Thank you, and you saved my mother life, and you my hero," over and over until I almost believed it. The next day we went to Western Union. I wired 100,000 baht to Knock's father's account in her village. The clerk gave me a receipt, transaction number, date, amount. Proof that I'd just sent $3,200 to a family I'd never met, in a village I'd never been to for an operation I had no way to verify. That night, Knock made my favorite meal, the papaya salad I'd learned to love, even though it destroyed my mouth with chili heat. She kept touching my face, calling me her hero, saying her mother would live because of me. And I felt like a hero. For the first time in 60 years, I felt like I'd done something that mattered. I'd saved someone's life. I was part of a family now, even if I'd never met most of them. Looking back, that was the moment I crossed the point of no return. That was when I stopped being a lonely retiree with money and became what Knock needed me to be. A sponsor. An ATM with feelings. A Farang who wanted so desperately to believe he was special that he'd pay any price to keep believing it. But I didn't see it then. All I saw was Knock smiling at me across the table, telling me I was a good man, and feeling like maybe after 60 years of running the same routes alone, I'd finally found a place where I belonged. About a month after I'd wired the money for Knock's mother's operation, she started talking about me visiting her village. "My family want meet you," she said one evening while we were eating dinner on the balcony. "They want thank you for save Mama. She doing good now, getting strong. Because of you." I was nervous about the idea. I'd never been outside of Pattaya except for that one trip to Bangkok to sort out my retirement visa. The thought of going to rural Isan where nobody spoke English and everything would be completely foreign intimidated me. But No kept bringing it up. "They love you already," she said. "My father, my brother, everyone. They say you like son now. You family." That word, family. It hit me every time she said it. I'd spent 60 years without one, and now I had people in a Thai village who considered me family. How could I not go meet them? We planned the trip for early July, about 3.5 months into our relationship. The journey was long. Bus from Pattaya to Bangkok, about 2.5 hours. Then we caught a train from Bangkok heading north toward Udon Thani. I'd been excited about the train part, thought maybe it would remind me of home, of work, But Thai trains are nothing like American freight. This was old, slow, the air conditioning barely worked, and we were packed in with what felt like hundreds of people, chickens in cages, bags of rice, everything. The train ride was almost 8 hours. We left Bangkok in the afternoon and arrived in Udon Thani just as the sun was setting. From there we caught a taxi, this beat-up Toyota that Nok hoggled over in Thai until the driver agreed to take us to her village for 500 baht. The taxi drove through the city, then out into countryside. Rice paddies stretched out on both sides of the road, flat and green and endless. Water buffalo standing in the mud, small houses scattered here and there. The sun had set completely by the time we turned off the paved road onto dirt, and I couldn't see much except what the headlights showed. Chickens scattering, dogs barking, the occasional motorbike passing us going the other direction. We arrived around 8 p.m. The village was exactly what I'd seen in YouTube videos and documentaries. Maybe 40 or 50 houses, most of them wooden structures built up on stilts with the space underneath used for storage or sitting during the day. Dirt roads, no streetlights. Everything dark except for the glow of TVs and bare bulbs inside the houses. Nok's family house was toward the edge of the village. The taxi pulled up and immediately people started coming out. Her father, a thin man in his 60s wearing a worn t-shirt and shorts. Her mother, the woman I'd seen coughing on video calls, looking remarkably better than she had a month ago. A younger man who Nok introduced as her brother. An older woman who was an aunt. Kids running around who were cousins or neighbors. I couldn't keep track. They greeted me with wais, those pressed palm gestures of respect, and I tried to weigh back properly like Nok had taught me. Her father said something in Thai and not translated. He say welcome. Thank you for come long way. Thank you for help our family. They'd prepared food. The family house had an outdoor kitchen area underneath the stilted structure, and they'd set up a table with plastic chairs. There was grilled chicken, sticky rice in bamboo baskets, some tam, larb, which is this spicy meat salad, and bottles of Leo beer and something that looked like whiskey. Her father opened the whiskey, which Nok said was called Hong Thong, and poured shots for himself, me, and the brother. They toasted me, said Chang Yu, which means cheers, and we drank. It burned going down, tasted cheap and harsh, but I smiled and nodded. More family members and neighbors kept arriving. Everyone wanted to meet the Farang who'd saved Mama's life. I was passed from person to person, shaking hands, trying to remember names I had no chance of pronouncing. Kids stared at me like I was from another planet. I probably was, compared to this village. The food kept coming. Nok's mother, despite supposedly just recovering from a lung operation, was cooking over a charcoal grill, making more chicken, more sticky rice. She looked healthy, strong, not at all like someone who'd been at death's door a month ago. I should have noticed that. Should have wondered how she'd recovered so completely, so quickly. But I was overwhelmed by everything else. The warmth of the welcome, the food, the whiskey that kept being poured into my glass, the smiles, the gratitude. Nok's father stood up at one point and made a speech in Thai. He went on for maybe 5 minutes, and everyone listened seriously. When he finished, they all raised their glasses to me. Nok translated, her eyes wet with tears. He say you like son to him now. You save his wife, save our family. He say he is proud to know you, proud his daughter finds such good man. I'm not ashamed to say I got choked up. Here I was, a guy who'd spent his whole life alone, and this Thai farmer I'd just met was calling me his son. It meant more than he could have known. We stayed 3 days in the village. I slept on a thin mattress on the floor of the main room in their house. It wasn't comfortable, but I didn't complain. There was no air conditioning, just a fan that pushed hot air around. The bathroom was a squat toilet out back with a bucket of water for flushing. I'd shower using another bucket, scooping water over myself. Everything was basic, simple, poor by Western standards. But the people were generous with what they had. Every meal was a feast. Neighbors would stop by with food, with fruit from their trees, with homemade whiskey that was even worse than the Hong Thong. During the day, I'd sit in the shade under the house with Nok's father and the other men, drinking beer, trying to communicate through Nok's translations and a lot of gestures. The village itself was peaceful in a way I'd never experienced. No cars except the occasional taxi or pickup truck. Motorbikes, bicycles, people walking, dogs everywhere, chickens scratching in the dirt, rice paddies stretching out in every direction, old men playing some kind of board game under a tree, women working in gardens, kids playing in the dirt. On the second night, after another big dinner, her father pulled me aside. We walked away from the house, down a dirt path between rice fields. The moon was bright enough to see by. He spoke in Thai and Nok translated as we walked. My father say he embarrassed, Nok began. He want show you our home, want you see our family, but our house very bad. Mama deserve better, especially after her sick, but we no have money to fix. We stopped walking. Her father pointed back at the house. Even in moonlight, I could see it was run down. The wooden planks of the walls were warped, gaps between them. The roof was patched with corrugated metal in places, clearly leaking. The stilts looked unstable. He say, Knock continued, the house very old, my grandfather built long time ago, now have termite, wood is soft, dangerous, roof leak when rain, mama sleep on floor because no money for bed. He's shamed that you see his family like this. I felt terrible for them. This family had welcomed me like royalty, fed me, treated me like family, and they were living in a house that was literally falling apart. He no one ask you, Knock said, but he say, if possible, he would like build new house for mama, so she safe, so she have good place after operation. And then came the question I should have seen coming but didn't. He want know, how much cost to build new house? I asked Knock to ask him. They spoke in Thai for a minute. Then Knock turned back to me. He say, with concrete, good materials, new roof, everything proper, maybe 600,000 baht. 600,000 baht. I did the math in my head. About $18,000. That was a lot of money. That was a significant chunk of my savings. We walked back to the house in silence. I sat on the edge of the platform under the house while Knock went inside to help her mother clean up. Her father sat next to me, lit a cigarette, didn't say anything. Just sat there. This thin Thai farmer who'd spent his whole life working rice fields, who'd just asked a stranger for $18,000. That night I lay on my mat listening to the sounds of the village. Dogs barking, someone's rooster crowing even though it wasn't dawn yet, the rustle of the wind through the rice stalks, and above me, through a gap in the boards, I could see the roof. The corrugated metal patch. I could hear it creak when the wind blew. I did math in my head. I'd started with $95,000, paid $800 for Noak's contract, $3,200 for her mother's operation. That left me with about $91,000. If I paid $18,000 for the house, I'd still have $73,000. Plus, my pension kept coming in, about $2,000 a month. I could live on that in Thailand easy. The savings were just sitting there anyway, earning nothing, and these were going to be my family. I was building something here, something real, something that would outlast me. When I died, there would be a house in an Asian village that I'd built. There would be people who remembered me, who'd benefited from my life. That was more legacy than I'd ever thought I'd have. The next morning over breakfast, I told Knock to tell her father I'd pay for the house. The reaction was immediate. Her father started crying. Her mother put her hands together and wailed me, bowing her head to her hands over and over. The brother grabbed my hand, shook it, said something in Thai that sounded like, thank you. Neighbors who'd stopped by for morning coffee heard the news and started crying too. Within an hour, half the village knew. People kept coming by to thank me, to weigh me, to call me Pu Yayi, which Knock said meant big person, important person. Kids who'd been shy around me before now wanted to touch my arm, my hand. I was suddenly the most important person in the village. Her father kept saying something in Thai, over and over. Finally, Nok translated. He say you not farang, you family now, you family. I sat there in that rundown house in a village I'd never heard of 3 months ago, surrounded by people whose language I didn't speak, and felt more at home than I ever had in Medford. That feeling of belonging, of mattering, of being part of something bigger than myself, was worth every penny I'd paid. Or at least that's what I thought at the time. I didn't know yet that I wasn't building a family, I was funding one. And there's a difference. Construction on the new house started about 2 weeks after I got back to Pattaya. Knock showed me photos on her phone that her father sent. The old house being torn down, the land being cleared, workers starting to dig the foundation. It was happening. Something I was paying for was actually being built. I started going to the village more often after that. Every 2 or 3 weeks, Knock and I would make that long trip up to Isan so I could check on the progress. I'd never built anything before. Watching that house go up was like watching something I'd created come to life. The concrete foundation poured and hardened, the walls going up, brick by brick, the roof frame, the tiles. Real, tangible proof that I was building something that mattered. Noak's family treated me like royalty every time I visited. Her father would show me around the construction site like I was some kind of expert, asking my opinion on things through Knock's translation even though I knew nothing about building houses. Her mother would cook elaborate meals. The whole village knew who I was now, the Farang who built the new house. Kids would follow me around. Old men would invite me to drink with them. I felt important in a way I'd never felt running trains. A locomotive doesn't care who's driving it. But these people cared about me, they needed me, and I'd never been needed before. By the end of August, about 5 months into living with Knock, the house was mostly finished. It was beautiful compared to the old one. Concrete walls painted yellow. A proper tile roof that wouldn't leak, real windows with screens. A bathroom inside with an actual toilet, not a squat one. 2 bedrooms. A living area. Nothing fancy by American standards, but for an Isan village it was like a mansion. That's when the other requests started coming. The first one was Nok's cousin, a guy in his early 20s named Somchai who I'd met during my visits. He needed a motorcycle to get to his job at a factory in the next province, Nok explained. Without a bike, he had to pay for rides or walk, and it was hurting his income. A decent used motorcycle would cost about 60,000 baht, about $2,000. I hesitated. The house was one thing, a big investment for family. But now we were talking about buying vehicles for cousins. Where would it end? Nok saw my hesitation. Family, she said. If he make good money at factory, he can help his mama, his sister. It investment, help whole family. I thought about it. $2,000. I still had about 73,000 in savings. My pension was covering our living expenses in Pattaya easy. And Somchai was a good kid, polite, worked hard. If a motorcycle would help him earn more, support his family, wasn't that a good thing? I transferred the money. Somchai sent me a photo online app of him on his new bike, grinning, giving a thumbs up. Nok showed all her family. They were so proud, so grateful. A month later, it was her brother. He'd had a motorbike accident, Nok said. Nothing serious, he was okay, but he'd broken his leg and needed surgery. The hospital in Udon Thani wanted 110,000 baht up front, about $3,500. The family had scraped together some money, but they were still short by a lot. I should have asked to see the hospital bills. Should have asked to talk to the brother, to verify any of it. But by this point, 6 months in, I trusted Nok completely. Why would she lie? I'd been to the village, I'd met the brother, these were real people with real problems. I sent the money, $2,500. My savings dropped to about 67,000. Then it was the niece's school fees. $1,500, so she could go to a better school in the city. Then a water buffalo died and needed replacing, $2,800 because the family needed it to work the rice fields. Then the aunt needed money for medicine. Then a cousin needed help starting a small business selling phone accessories. Each request came with a story, a reason, a promise that this would be the last time. And each time when I hesitated, Nok would cry. She'd ask if I didn't love her family, didn't love her. In Thailand, we take care of family, she'd say through tears. You family now, family help family, this how we do. And I'd feel guilty, feel like I was being selfish. I had the money, they needed it. Wasn't this what family was supposed to do? By early November, 7 months into the relationship, I'd lost track of all the payments. My savings were down to about 61,000 from the 95 I'd started with. I'd spent over $30,000 in 7 months. When I tried to map it all out, the numbers didn't quite add up. It felt like more had gone out than I could account for, but the requests came so often, some small, some large, that I couldn't keep the schedule straight anymore. Back in my train driving days, I'd run on precise schedules. Everything mapped out, predictable, on track. Now I was running on a payment schedule I couldn't map, couldn't predict, couldn't control. Every time I thought we were done, that the family was stable, another emergency would come up, and the red flags started appearing, small things at first. One afternoon I was in Bangkok at the immigration office on Changwatana Road, sorting out my retirement visa extension. It took all day, lots of waiting in lines, paperwork, proving I had 800,000 baht in a Thai bank account which I'd had to transfer from the States. When I got back to Pattaya that evening, I ran into Darren, a British guy who owned a bar on Soi 6, not far from Sweet Dreams. Saw your bird this afternoon, he said casually. Nok? Yeah. She was at Sweet Dreams, chatting with the mama-san, having a laugh with some of the other girls. My stomach tightened. What time? About 3 maybe. I was walking past. That night I asked Nok about it. She was cooking dinner, making pad krapao basil chicken. She didn't even look concerned. Oh, I go visit friends, she said. The girl I work with before. I miss them sometimes. Okay, I visit friend? Of course it was okay. I told myself I was being paranoid. She was allowed to have friends. Just because she used to work there didn't mean she was working there now. I knew where she was every night. She was with me. But it bothered me. Not enough to push it, but enough that I noticed. Then there was her phone. It was always face down, always password protected. I'd see messages come in online or Facebook and the screen would light up, but she'd always grab it before I could see who it was from. When I asked once, jokingly, why she kept her phone locked, she looked hurt. You don't trust me? Her eyes got wet. After everything, you think I hide something? No, I said quickly. I was just curious. Everyone has passwords. It's normal. But she kept going. In Thailand, we respect privacy. You want read my message. You think I talk other man? I thought you different, Dwight. I thought you trust me. I apologized. Spent the rest of the evening trying to make it up to her. Felt like an asshole for even asking. Privacy was important. We weren't married. She had a right to her phone. The biggest red flag was the house paperwork. Obviously the house was in her father's name. I knew that. I'd known from the start that foreigners can't own land in Thailand. The forums had made that clear. I wasn't stupid. But when I suggested maybe putting Nock's name on the lease for our Pattaya condo, just so she felt more secure, she got defensive. "You think I'd marry you for house?" she said. "You think I Bargirl who want your money?" "No, that's not what I meant. I'm not Bargirl anymore." She was crying now. "I love you. But you still see me like Bargirl. Still think I use you. Maybe I should go back village, let you find nice girl who you trust." I panicked. Apologized over and over, told her I trusted her completely, that I was just trying to make her feel secure, that I was sorry for even suggesting it. She eventually calmed down, let me hold her, but I could tell I'd hurt her. After that, I stopped asking questions. Stopped wondering about the phone, about sweet dreams, about why every document had someone else's name on it. I told myself these were cultural differences, Thai ways of doing things that I didn't understand. The important thing was that Nock loved me, that I had a family, that I wasn't alone anymore. By month 8, in December, the house was completely finished. Nock's family moved in. Her father sent photos. The whole family standing in front of the yellow house, smiling, waving. A banner in Thai that Nock said meant, "Thank you, Kun Dwight," hung over the door. They looked so happy, so grateful. Nock talked about marriage sometimes, about maybe opening a small shop together in Pattaya, selling clothes or souvenirs to tourists, about our future. She'd call me her husband even though we weren't married. "My husband, very good man," she'd tell the street vendors when we'd shop together. It made me feel proud. I rationalized the money. 61,000 in savings was still comfortable. My pension was 2,400 a month, and we lived on maybe 1,500. I was still saving 900 a month. By my calculations, I'd be fine. The big expenses were done anyway. The house was built. The emergencies had been handled. Things would stabilize now. I thought about my old life in Medford, the empty house, the silence, the lonely evenings watching the sun set over mountains with no one to share it with. Compared to that, this was paradise. I had someone who cared about me, a family who valued me, a purpose. That's what I told myself anyway. Every time my savings dropped, every time another request came in, every time I felt that flutter in my chest that the doctor had warned me about. This is what having a family costs. This is normal. This is worth it. I had no idea that in a few weeks, sitting in a coffee shop on a random Tuesday, my entire world would collapse in the space of 5 minutes. That I'd discover I wasn't building a family at all. That everything I believed was a carefully constructed illusion, and I was just the current mark on a route that had been running long before I ever landed in Thailand. But right then, in December, watching the rain fall on Pattaya from my balcony with Nock leaning against me, I thought I'd finally found what I'd been looking for my whole life. I thought the track ahead was clear. I was wrong. January in Pattaya is the best time of year. The heat backs off a bit, gets down into the low 80s during the day instead of the 90s. The humidity drops. You can actually sit outside without feeling like you're drowning in hot soup. Tourists flood in for European winter. The streets get more crowded. The bars fill up. Everything feels alive. I was feeling pretty good about my life. 8 months in Thailand, 8 months with Nock. The house in the village was done, the family was settled, and things had been quiet on the money front for almost 3 weeks. Maybe we'd finally hit equilibrium. Maybe all the emergencies were behind us. On a Tuesday morning, I walked down to this coffee shop on Second Road that a lot of expats frequented, not the hipster kind with fancy lattes, just a basic Thai place that served decent coffee and had air conditioning. I'd gotten into the habit of going there when Nock was at the village. It was nice to hear English being spoken, to not be the only Farang in the room. I ordered an iced coffee, sat down with a week-old Bangkok Post someone had left on the table. I was reading an article about the Thai economy when someone said, "Mind if I join you?" British accent. I looked up. Guy in his 50s maybe, wearing shorts and a Chang beer tank top, sunburned, balding, the kind of face that had spent a lot of time in bars. I'd seen him around but never talked to him. "Sure," I said. He sat down, stuck out his hand. "Graham." "Dwight." We did the usual expat small talk. "How long you been here? Where you from? What brought you to Thailand?" He was from Manchester, been in Pattaya for 3 years, retired early from some kind of sales job. Had a girlfriend from Izan, showed me a photo on his phone. Pretty girl, mid-20s, standing in front of a rice paddy. "She's from up north," he said. "Udon province. You know it?" "Yeah, actually," I said. "My girlfriend's from up there too." "No shit? What village?" I told him. Graham's eyebrows went up. "Really? Mine's from the same area, just outside the same village, actually. Small world, innit?" "Yeah, small world," I said. My coffee arrived. I took a sip. It was too sweet, like everything in Thailand. "What's your girl's name?" Graham asked. "Nock." His face changed. Just slightly, but I saw it. This flicker of recognition, maybe surprise. He set his coffee down. "Nock from Sweet Dreams Bar?" he said. My stomach tightened. "Yeah." "He know her?" "Mate," he said slowly. You might want to see something. He pulled out his phone, started scrolling through photos. My hands felt cold despite the heat. He turned the phone toward me. It was Knock. At the house I'd built, the yellow house with the tile roof. She was sitting on the lap of a Thai man about her age, both of them laughing. His arm was around her waist. They looked comfortable together. Intimate. "Who's that?" I heard myself ask. "Her brother," Graham said. "Well, that's what she told me, though she also said her husband. He's in prison," she said. "Some drug charge. Sad story, really. I send her money sometimes when she asks help with legal fees and that." The coffee shop seemed to tilt. I heard Graham still talking, but the words weren't connecting. Her brother, her husband, prison, legal fees. Cute kid, right? Graham was showing me another photo. Knock at a temple, the same man beside her, a toddler on her hip. The toddler had Knock's eyes. Her daughter. She visits when she can between working Pattaya. Must be tough, being away from her kid so much. Her daughter. I couldn't breathe. The air conditioning was too cold. The coffee too sweet. Everything felt wrong, distorted, like the world had shifted 6 inches to the left and nothing lined up anymore. "You all right, mate?" Graham asked. "You look proper pale." I stood up, nearly knocked my coffee over. "I have to go." Hold on, did I say something? But I was already walking out, into the heat, into the chaos of Second Road with the motorbikes and tuk-tuks and vendors and tourists. My heart was doing that irregular flutter, the one the doctor warned me about. I could feel it misfiring, skipping beats. I walked back to my condo in a daze, pulled out my phone, called Knock. Straight to voicemail, called again. Voicemail, sent a message online. Read but no response. That night I couldn't sleep. Kept seeing those photos Knock on that man's lap. The toddler. The way they looked together. Natural. Real. Like a family. I called her 15 times. Voicemail every time. By morning I'd made a decision. I was going to the village, unannounced right now. I needed to see with my own eyes. I rented a car from a place on Pattaya Thai. A beat-up Toyota that cost 1,000 baht a day. I'd never driven in Thailand before, but I didn't care. I punched the village into Google Maps and started driving. The trip to the village that first time with Nok had felt like an adventure. This time it felt like running a locomotive with failing brakes. You know you're heading for a crash, but you can't stop. You have to see where the track goes. 4 hours north through Bangkok traffic, then out into the countryside through Udon Thani onto smaller roads, then dirt roads. Every kilometer I drove, I kept thinking, turn back, you being paranoid. Graham must have been confused, there's an explanation. But I kept driving. I arrived mid-afternoon. The village looked different in the harsh daylight without Knock beside me, translating, welcoming, making everything feel safe. Now it just looked poor. Hot. Foreign. I found the house, the yellow house I'd paid for. There were people everywhere. A pickup truck parked outside. Kids playing in the dirt. Laundry hanging on a line, music playing from somewhere. And there, standing in the doorway of my house, was Knock. She saw me. Her face didn't register surprise. Didn't register guilt, just annoyance. She said something in Thai to someone inside, then walked toward the car. "Why you come no call first?" she said through my open window. Like I was the one being rude. Like I was the one who should be explaining myself. I got out of the car. The heat slammed into me. "Who was that guy in the photos?" "What photos?" "The guy you were sitting with, at this house, the one I paid for." She sighed. Like I was a child asking stupid questions. "We talk inside, too hot." I followed her toward the house. That's when I saw him, the man from Graham's photos. Coming out of the front door of the house I'd built, he was barefoot, wearing shorts and a tank top, clearly comfortable here. At home here. He saw me, stopped, said something to Knock in Thai. She responded. They weren't panicked, they were just having a conversation. Then I saw her, Knock's mother, the sick one who'd needed the operation. Healthy as could be, working in a garden plot next to the house. Bending, lifting, digging, no cough, no weakness. Looking stronger than me. A toddler came running out of the house. Little girl, maybe 2 years old. She ran straight to Knock, grabbed her leg, said Mama. Mama. Knock picked her up without thinking. Natural, automatic, the way you do with your own kid. I stood there in the dirt road in front of the house I'd paid $18,000 for, watching Knock hold a child I didn't know she had, while a man I'd never met stood in the doorway like he owned the place. Because he did. Or his family did. This was their house. It had never been mine. "Dwight," Knock said. She wasn't crying, wasn't apologizing, just saying my name like I'd shown up at an inconvenient time. Knock's father came out then, the man who'd called me family, who'd accepted my money, who'd cried when I said I'd build him a house. He was smoking a cigarette, calm as anything. He said something in Thai. His English was better than he'd let on during my first visit. You come visit, he said. Good, you always welcome. You good man, you help family. Who is he? I pointed at the man in the doorway. The father looked confused by the question, like it should be obvious. Knock's husband, he said. Married 6 year, that their daughter. But you told me, Knock told me. We no tell lie, the father said, genuinely seeming to believe this. You want help family, you help family, build house, very good, thank you. I looked at Knock. You told me you weren't married. I never say I marry you, she said. Her English was better now too, clearer, like she didn't need to pretend anymore. I never lie. You want help, you help. This, my family, you help my family, we say thank you. House very nice. She said it like it made perfect sense, like I was the one being unreasonable. The operation, I said. Your mother's operation. Knock's mother was right there, could hear us. She smiled, waved. Mama fine, Knock said. She always fine. She have bad cough before, but okay now. You give money, we build house. Good for mama, you help. You lied to me. I no lie. She actually looked offended. I tell you mama sick, she was sick tough all time. I tell you family need help. Family need help. I tell you I work bar. I work bar. I tell you I from village. I from village. Where is lie? She believed it. I could see it in her face. In her mind, she hadn't lied. She told me her family needed help. I'd wanted to help, transaction complete. But we were together, I said. Living together. You said you loved me. She shifted the toddler to her other hip. I like you, she said. You good man. Kind. But I never say I marry you. You never ask. You just give money. I think you understand. Understand what? Understand this is how it work. The husband stepped forward, not aggressive, just claiming his space. He said something to Knock in Thai. She nodded. You should go now, Knock said to me. My husband want family time, but you always welcome, come visit. You family too. You build house. I stood there for another minute, maybe two, trying to find words, trying to understand how I'd gotten it so wrong, how I'd spent $35,000, 8 months of my life, all that hope and loneliness and desperate need to belong, and somehow convinced myself that a bar girl from Izan actually loved me. But looking at her now, holding her daughter, standing next to her husband, in front of the house I'd built for her family, I finally saw the truth. I was never her boyfriend. I was never family. I was a Farang with money who wanted to feel important. And she'd given me that feeling, and I'd paid for it. Just like every other transaction on Soy 6, except I'd been too lonely and stupid to recognize it for what it was. I got back in the rental car. My hands were shaking, started the engine. Knock had already turned away, was walking back toward the house with her daughter. The husband went inside. Her father gave me a small wave, like I was a neighbor stopping by. I drove away from the village, from the house, from the family I'd thought was mine. My heart was pounding irregular, arrhythmic, sending all the wrong signals. Just like the doctor had warned, just like I'd been doing for 8 months straight. The 4-hour drive back to Pattaya felt like the longest trip of my life, longer than any freight route I'd ever run, and the whole way I kept thinking about signals, about how I'd spent 37 years reading them, following them, knowing exactly when to brake and when to accelerate. But in Thailand, I'd missed every single one, because I'd wanted so badly to believe the track ahead was clear. I got back to Pattaya around 8 that night, parked the rental car in front of my condo building, sat there for a minute with the engine running, air conditioning blasting. My hands were still shaking. That irregular flutter in my chest hadn't stopped since the coffee shop. When I finally went upstairs, the condo felt different, empty in a way it hadn't before. All of Knock's stuff was still there. Her clothes hanging in the closet, her shampoo in the bathroom, the little Buddha statue she'd put on the shelf. But it all felt like props now. Stage dressing for a show I'd been too stupid to realize I was watching. She'd blocked me everywhere before I'd even gotten back to Pattaya, probably did it the moment I drove away from the village. I tried her father's number. Same thing, blocked. The whole family had cut me off in perfect coordination, like they'd done this before, like they had a system. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat on the balcony watching Pattaya below. The neon, the traffic, the endless motion of a city that never stops. Somewhere down there on Soy 6, Sweet Dreams Bar was open. Girls were sitting with lonely Farangs, laughing at their jokes, making them feel special. The cycle continuing. The next morning I went to the police station on Pattaya Side 2 Road, waited an hour to talk to someone, finally got a bored-looking cop who spoke decent English. I explained the situation, showed him the Western Union receipts, the bank transfers, everything. He listened politely, took notes, then said exactly what I knew he'd say. You give money to girlfriend? Yes, but... She asked for money or you give, she asked, but she said it was for, you have contract, paper says she must pay back. No, but... then no crime. He pushed the paperwork back to me. You give gift to girlfriend family. This is normal in Thailand, man take care girlfriend family. You give free, she no have to give back. But she lied about being married, about having a kid. He shrugged. She say she marry you? No, but... Then where is lie? You have wife here? You pay sinsad? He was getting impatient now. Sir, I am sorry, but no law broken. You give money free to Thai girlfriend. She accept. This is normal. Many Farang do same. So I just lost $35,000 and there's nothing. Welcome to Thailand, he said. Not meanly, just matter of fact. He'd probably seen this exact scenario 100 times. I left the police station and sat in my car in the parking lot doing the math. Really doing it this time. No more rationalizing or hoping things would work out. $800 for the bar contract, $3,200 for the operation, $18,000 for the house, $2,000 for the motorcycle, $3,500 for the brother's hospital bills, $1,500 for school fees, $2,800 for the water buffalo. Then all the smaller payments I'd lost track of, medicine, phone credit, gifts, emergency after emergency, about $35,000 total. In 8 months, my savings were down to about $58,000 from the $95,000 I'd started with. The house was completely gone. Her father's name on everything. No legal recourse, no way to get it back. I still had my pension, $2,400 a month. That would cover rent and food. But the comfortable cushion I built over 37 years of running trains, the safety net that was supposed to last my retirement, was badly damaged. Worse than the money was the shame. I told my sister about Nock sent her photos, talked about maybe bringing Nock to the States to meet her, about how I'd finally found someone, about having a family for the first time. My sister had been happy for me, genuinely happy now. I couldn't bring myself to call her back, couldn't admit what had happened. Couldn't face saying the words out loud. I got scammed by a Bargirl. Like every other stupid lonely Farang who comes to Thailand thinking he's special. The next week I moved. Couldn't stay in that Pattaya condo anymore. Too many memories. Every corner reminded me of not cooking, or watching Thai soap operas, or calling me Tirak while lying. Always lying. I found a cheaper place in Jom Tien, away from the main Pattaya areas. 6,000 baht a month instead of 8. Smaller, no balcony. But I didn't need a balcony. I wasn't going to be entertaining anyone. I stopped going out much after that. Stopped going to the coffee shop, stopped walking around. Mostly, I'd just stay inside with the air conditioning on, watching YouTube videos about trains. Same videos I'd watched back in Medford. Except now, I was watching them in a hot Thai condo instead of a house I owned. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd come to Thailand to escape loneliness and stress. Now I was more alone than ever, and the stress had tripled. My heart did that irregular flutter constantly now. I take my medication, monitor my blood pressure, and wonder if Dr. Patterson would say this was worse than running freight. Probably. Yeah, definitely worse. Sometimes I'd think about going back to Oregon. I still had the house in Medford, could sell it, use that money to rebuild my savings, get back on track. But the thought of going back defeated, of admitting to everyone that Thailand hadn't worked out, that I was still the same lonely guy I'd always been, just older and poorer now, I couldn't do it, so I stayed. In Jomtien, in my cheap condo, avoiding the areas where I might run into Nock, or worse, see her with another Farang. Some new guy getting the same treatment, the same slow extraction of money disguised as family obligation. I spent a lot of time those first few months thinking about what I'd missed, the signals I should have seen, the way she was always available at the bar, never with other customers, like she'd been assigned to me. The contract payment that freed her so quickly, so easily, like it was a scripted step in a process. The video calls with her mother, perfectly timed to establish the cough, to make her seem sick. The mother's remarkable recovery by the time I visited, how healthy she looked, how I'd noticed but explained it away. The village welcome that felt rehearsed. Everyone knowing their roles, the father's speech, the crying, the gratitude, the escalating requests, each one slightly bigger, each one with a story that made it seem necessary and final. Her phone always locked, her defensiveness when questioned, the way she'd turn it around, make me feel guilty for doubting her. The house documents all in her father's name. The condo lease she refused to be on. Every legal piece that would have given me any leverage kept carefully out of reach. Even the way she responded at the village, not surprised, not guilty, just annoyed. Why you come no call first? Like I was the one causing problems. I'd spent 37 years reading signals, following schedules, knowing exactly when to brake and when to accelerate. But in Thailand I'd missed every single warning sign because I wanted so badly to believe the track ahead was clear. I'd wanted to believe I was special, different from all the other Farangs, that Nock had chosen me for me, not for my money. That a 28-year-old bar girl actually loved a 60-year-old retired train driver from Oregon who'd never had a girlfriend before in his life. The math had never made sense. But I'd done the math anyway and convinced myself it worked. Because loneliness makes you stupid, makes you willing to believe anything if it means not being alone. Let me tell you something about bar girls, about villages, about all of it, because maybe you can learn from my expensive mistakes. Bar girls aren't projects you rescue. They're professionals doing a job. When Knox sat with me at Sweet Dreams, making me feel special, remembering details about trains, that wasn't genuine interest. That was skill. That was her being good at her job. The contract payment, the sick mother, the village visit, the house, all of it. Those aren't random emergencies. They're a route. A well-worn track that's been run over and over with different farangs sitting in the cab thinking they're the ones driving. Villages aren't families you buy your way into. They're communities that will happily accept your money, smile at you, call you family, and then go back to their actual lives the moment you leave. The house I built didn't make me part of that family. It just made me the farang who paid for their house. And when a woman young enough to be your daughter says you're different, special, her hero, when she says you're not like other farangs, you need to understand something very clearly. You're not different. You're exactly the same. You're just the current stop on a route she's been running longer than you've been in the country. She's professional. You're not special. You're a wallet with feelings, and the feelings are the weakness she exploits. The sick buffalo stories are real because they work. The family emergencies are endless because you'll always have more money and they'll never have enough. The blocked phone numbers happen the moment you stop being useful. And the house you build, the family you think you're joining, none of it was ever yours. I came to Thailand because my doctor said my heart couldn't take the stress anymore. Turns out the best way to destroy it wasn't work. It wasn't the long hours in the locomotive cab. It wasn't the loneliness of running the same routes for 37 years. It was hope. Hope made me blind. Hope made me ignore every warning sign. Hope made me believe that a bar girl from Eisen actually loved me. Hope cost me $35,000 and whatever dignity I had left. I don't know if I'll stay in Thailand or go back to Oregon. Either way, I'll die alone, which is what I was always going to do. I just wish I'd accepted that in Medford instead of buying a house for someone else's family in Isan. That's my story. That's what happened when I came to Thailand looking for love and found a transaction instead. Learn from it. Or don't. But at least now you know. Dwight's story isn't unique. It's almost generic in expat Thailand. The details change, but the pattern remains the same. A lonely Western man, a pretty Thai woman, a needy family, and money flowing one direction until it runs out. Thailand isn't a retirement paradise where you can buy love and belonging. It's a country with its own culture, its own rules, and its own people who are remarkably skilled at identifying desperate foreigners with money and giving them exactly what they think they want for exactly as long as the money lasts. Not every Thai woman dating a foreigner is a scammer. Not every bar girl is heartless. There are genuine relationships, genuine love stories, genuine families built across cultures. But when you're a 60-year-old man who's never had a relationship and a 28-year-old woman working in a bar falls in love with you after 3 nights, maybe ask yourself what's more likely, genuine connection or professional expertise. Dwight wanted to believe in the fairy tale. The YouTube videos had promised him a second chance at happiness. The forums had warned him about the scams. But hope is a powerful thing. Hope makes you ignore the warnings. Hope makes you believe you're the exception. You're not the exception. If you found this story valuable, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Subscribe to This is Thailand for more cautionary tales from the land of smiles. And remember, the best investment you can make in Thailand is in understanding it honestly, not in hoping it's something it's not. Until next time. This is Thailand.